daai noise is on Logan se kant.
I've been muted. I don't know.
It's definitely not you.
Also, Skulk, for some reason, my white paper is no longer rendering, and it turns out the PDF I have up is garbled. So I don't know what the fuck is. Anyway, I'm trying to sort that out now.
We still have time.
Dink jy dit gaan die probleem uitsorteer? There's a small chance, a very small chance I have. Get Logan alweer. Can I my way? Hy's doofstom.
And I just asked if you started.
LNA asked what? I fixed the issue, so we're good now.
Say again?
What did you say, Skunk? LNA asked something or what?
Ask if you're eating yet again.
I am eating again. Yes, my ambitious plans of a multi-week fast didn't quite hold up to my irrational, selfish body, but that's okay. But I did make it just over 1 week, so that's pretty cool. I think if I do it next time, I'm going to take some kind of supplements, maybe snake juice, maybe something else. Because I did feel at times, like not exactly sick, but weaker and kind of more debilitated in some sense than I expected. So yeah, but it was interesting for sure, and I lost weight, and I think it did add kind of motivation to my goals that I was looking for. And today we have a launch date set, and that was the main thing.
Awesome. I'm glad you're eating again.
Yes, it's nice to eat. I had to slow down when I took my first few bites. I like had some cheese and crackers. My mouth wanted more, but my stomach was saying, "Hold on, I don't know what to do with this food. What is this food?" So, but yeah, it's been good. I still haven't pooped, so that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, that happens. It's really interesting. But it will come.
Yes, I'm sure.
Sorry.
I wonder, I just realized that whole conversation is going to be on the automatically uploaded YouTube video. So that's fun. Now everybody knows about my fasting life. That's okay. I probably seem really cool now.
Kan jy nog 'n microphone jack of nie meer nie?
Maar obviously nie aan my nie. Oh. Okay. I will walk to the room and see if I have my headphones here, but I doubt it. I just finished eating. Are you expecting anyone to join today?
We are hoping for people to join today. The first two demo days were, the first one had pretty good attendance, and the next one had like, I want to say 12 people. That was very exciting. And then the last day, nobody joined. Although that might have been because when we announced it, we didn't have much to really demo, and we made that clear when we announced it. So people might have just seen that and then decided not just to skip it. So yeah, we'll
Okay.
see. You're muted if you're talking.
Other
Skull.
dynamic basically that I think went sideways was that people aren't in the lockdown anymore.
Sorry. I'm gonna try and find
Yeah.
my headphones.
Well, I guess we can sit around here and chat for a little bit.
Yeah. So now is this now being
Yeah.
streamed to YouTube and archived? So is this live public stuff
Yeah,
right now?
it is, but I can edit it afterwards, so we can edit out
Okay.
the poop.
Okay, that's good. Edit out everything except for the
Edit out the
bit
shitty
about
bits.
poop. I think that's the important stuff to keep in. People want the real deal, Skulk.
They probably do, my man. They probably do. I must say though, I'm glad that we had the initial momentum where we had all those people on our initial demo days, because yeah, because that I think that gave us some well needed motivation, basically.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I'm happy
and it
we
made it
did
easier
that.
to keep doing these too.
But
So now we're in the habit of this, and we got all the infrastructure set up. Especially, I think this is a good final form. The Jitsi and the streaming to YouTube. I wonder how it compiles the video, if it just automatically tries to detect who's speaking. But anyway, we'll see, I suppose. By the way, your video is extremely blurry. I mean, you could be anybody. How long do you think we should wait, Skulk?
Am I less blurry now?
Yes.
I'm just gonna wait. Let's just wait for LNA quickly to.
It's still extremely blurry, but the lighting is helping a bit with that. So I can be about 70% sure you're the real Skulk and not a double, basically.
Okay, I must just make a dad joke now, but nothing's coming to mind. Alifi.
But why are we live here?
You're not going to bring back any wine by any chance?
So we're live now. We're streaming, but
because we said we were going to start at 2
video.
and we thought.
I don't know. You just said I'm blurry.
No, not you. You seem fine. Skulk is very blurry. I don't know why. Probably when we actually start. When we start in earnest, why don't we have LNA turn off for video? I bet that'll give Skulk more upload bandwidth.
Well, and I think it just comes and goes. I think that's the issue.
Well, right, but certainly if the connection is not supporting your video.
Can someone explain that for me?
It's down in the lower. It's down in the middle, right next to the end call button. There's a video button. Or at least that's how it is on the desktop.
Wait, what?
But she's not.
You've done it.
She's
okay, but what's happening now?
On my video at the moment.
Okay, why don't you want to see my pretty face?
Because I'm assuming you guys are on the same network, and Skulk, you aren't. Oh, okay. Well, then never mind. I was just trying to increase Skulk's bandwidth so his video turned out clear. That's the only thing I was doing. Otherwise, you should keep your video on, because we would, of course, like to see your pretty face.
Yeah. I'm in a complete different. Like 100 meters is 200 meters away from Skulk at the moment. On a different day.
You cut out for some of that, but you're on a different network. That's the important thing. I wonder if they're anyway. Okay, Skulk, could you say something? You seem frozen. Is my video and audio coming out through clear to you guys?
Pixelated would be the word. Did you get that?
Yeah, I heard you say pixelated. So yeah. Well, this is frustrating. This does not seem to be really. Yep. I think we got a lot. I think we got a big lag between our. I think we got a big ping. And now Skulk is disconnected.
No, you were completely gone there for a second.
You know, I think maybe Skulk's computer is connected to the internet. Hold on, I'll be right back.
Okay. I don't know, because Skulk and I are in completely different buildings at the moment. Yeah. Ek weet nie hoe alles water opkry. Is daar nog maar ja, ek weet nie hoe hierdie chips gaan nie. Nee, dat ek net geproe.
You know, Skulk, could you speak up?
Dat vind nie bad nie.
You're muted. You're muted, Skulk.
Ek wou nou my sit weer mee. Is dit weer mee? I don't know.
Well, it says you're unmuted, but I can't hear you.
Can't hear you, Skulk.
Try rejoining the room, Skulk. Oh wait, I can hear you. I think now.
Can anyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
May nou.
Good. I can't hear anyone. Hello?
Hello, hello, hello.
Loop jy dag vandag? Okay. Dis cool. Okay, ja, dis al. Ek het jy is in my pol het al een van my span Ja.
Beslaggesproken.
Maar ek het gekyk na hulle wyspaar na die ons.
Can you guys hear me, by the way?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay, how's this video quality though?
Het jy kry fresh?
Seems all right. Keep speaking. Okay, yeah. Seems really good. How's my quality
Okay,
for you?
cool.
Geniet jy aanmiddag?
Very good.
Okay. Alrighty then.
Listen, Liefie, kan jy vir my wyn bring dalk?
Ek is oop nee, so ek dink ek so nie.
Hallo, Liefie, kan jy vir my wyn bring?
Ek sê is nie 'n
Okay, cool.
oop bottel nie.
Okay, maar gaan jy... Okay, well, Logan, I think you can just start. Elena, just mute yourself, please.
Okay, right?
Okay.
Just mute yourself, please.
It looks like she's muted now.
Okay, cool. Okay, well, I'll start at minute 31, 30 seconds, and let's go. Hi. Hi,
right.
everyone, and welcome to Demo Day 4 as Programmers Count. Logan, over to you.
Hey.
What are we
Okay.
demoing today?
Not much of a technical demo. It's just going to be I'm going to overview the white paper, just kind of go over the structure without diving too deep. And then I'm going to I'm going to demo, well, not really demo, just show an overview, another document we put out, which is how we intend to spend the funds as Team Toast between the periods where we launch the sale and where Foundry can make its own decisions. So there's this middle period where we're building Foundry governance specifically. And so how will we use that money? So that's the other document. And then I'll also just show off the launch date. And that's it. So it should be a pretty quick video today. With that, I can kick off unless you have any other notes you'd like to start with.
No. Kick off.
All right. Okay. Let me share my screen. Okay, can you see my screen? Can you see my screen, which is you?
There's a very handsome guy on the screen, yeah.
Well, that's just a white paper skulk, so I don't really know what you mean by that. But all right. Let me just zoom out. Well, I guess I should keep it zoomed. Okay, wait. Let me just think here. I'm going to skip past the abstract for now. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. I can't zoom out much. All right. So most of this document is is talking about governance. So sections 4 and on are really all talking about governance. And then before that, we just kind of set some context about the need for Foundry and the systems in Foundry that are sort of supporting governance or around governance. So the need for Foundry, basically, there are entrepreneurial projects that people would like to pursue or invest in, but it's difficult to in the current legal framework. Two great examples are the products we've already built, which is DieHard, which is an unstoppable crypto to fiat exchange with no KYC. And then the other one is Smoke Signal, which is a radically uncensored free speech platform built on Ethereum. So both of these kind of step over the lines of what is acceptable to perhaps some governments. And so even if you have a profit model and even if you have a good business plan, it's going to be difficult to find investors who will invest in your project because everyone's afraid of pissing off the wrong people. So Foundry is the vehicle that should give a lot of that energy, the ability to actuate and start building things. The design requirements real quick, they're pseudonymous participation. So you can join in this even if you're only an Ethereum identity. You don't need to give your name or anything like that. Profitable, obviously this needs to be able to make money. And not only does Foundry need to be able to make money, but the FRI holders essentially should also be able to make money. Resilient against coercion. So if you have a mafia and they are forcing you at gunpoint to buy their muffins, mafia that's running a bakery, Foundry should be able to resist that, even if they have really big weapons, because Foundry doesn't want to, unless it likes muffins. But I guess then it's not coercion, is it? And then member managed just means there's no management class. So like the DAO Zaster, otherwise known as the DAO, I just hate using that word because it's confusing to everything else. So I call them the DAO Zaster as my own little personal punishment for such an overstep. Anyway, the DAO that failed and lost a bunch of money and caused the Ethereum hard fork, they had a curator class, and these curators essentially had the final say on anything that was passed. So what we mean by member managed is that there's no organizing class that restrains the rest of the voters in any way. There is a liquid democracy, which means that there will be high fry holders, and we'll get into that in a bit. There are fry holders on top, you could say, and fry holders on bottom, but that is, all of those levels are available to all fry holders. So you can be a top level voter if you'd like. It's just a question of whether you can get people to put their weight under you. Let's see, I talk about the fry holders. I don't think that's too interesting to go into now, just sort of describing what it means what the fry token is and what it means to hold fry and how we expect them to behave. The treasury is really, it's just talking about where we hold the money and the assets and the identities and the keys to every one of these machines that Foundry might be using. It's really just a simple forwarder. I'll even see. Whoa, that did not do what I wanted it to do. Let me just go back there. Sorry. That's what I meant to click on. So it's a very short Solidity contract. We don't need to go into it now. The main things are that you can change the owner. Hold up. Now hold up. We don't have a change owner here. This must be the wrong code. Is this the old forwarder that we were supposed to get rid of? I'm not on the right branch, am I?
Go to audit.
So we've been working on an audit branch, and we have yet to put that in the master. Okay, so yeah, okay, that's right. So it should be just in common. Nope. Where is it, Scott? Help me out.
It would be under the bucket sale. Go to bucket sale.
Forwarder. Here we go. So I'm gonna have to update that link. Let me just note that. Damn it. Okay. Okay, so here we go. We have the two things that this forwarder contract does. It allows the owner to change to another owner. So for example, if I was the owner, I could pass it on to Skulk. And it allows you to forward, which is really just a way of sending any transaction. And just to summarize all that in terms of the utility, oops, back to the white paper here. The forwarder is really just a smart contract wallet, and it's owned by Foundry governance. That's really the best way to think about it. And so, and the treasury will accumulate assets in two ways. First, the bucket sale will send all of the raised DAI directly to it. And second, any projects built by Foundry will direct their profit to the treasury. Here we talk a bit about how we're going to move forward. So how do we move from where we are now? So right now, we have a multisig, the Team Toast Secure multisig. That is essentially version 0 of governance. So it controls the treasury right now. And we're going to move towards governance version 1. And this just talks a little bit about some of the thoughts and approaches we're going to have while we move there. I know that this is provisional. A lot of this is still very much, I wouldn't exactly say in flux, but it's now open to criticism. So this is a bit of an alpha or a beta of the ideas in here themselves, because this is the first time we publicly released them. Yeah, so then governance, we talk about bFry, which is a token you get when you put your fry into the governance contract. When you put your fry into the governance contract, you get a bonus, but you have to lock them up for a certain amount of time. And then the expectation is that you'll vote or you'll delegate to somebody else, as I'll talk about in a bit. We talk a bit about the proposal. So what form does a proposal take? A proposal is basically the transaction payload. which can be any Ethereum transaction that is meant to be executed by Foundry. And then there's the proposal bond, which is an amount of FRI that the proposer has to attach to it. And that bond changes based on some stuff we'll get into later. But basically, the more proposals there are, the higher the bond is. And this bond is returned to the proposer when the proposal has passed or failed, unless it's deemed an attack, which we'll get into in a second. And in that case, it's burned. So I talk about passing and failing and burning. So what does it mean for a proposal to be passing or failing, and how does burning work? The main takeaway here is that if a proposal remains in a passing state for 8 days without once switching to a failing state, it is considered ready to execute, and then anybody can come and pull the trigger and execute the transaction. So the minimum time that you would need for a proposal to pass is 8 days, and then as soon as that dips to a failing, that 8 days will reset. And then if it's in a failing state for 8 consecutive days, then it's considered ready to reject, and anybody can come and knock it out of the queue, and then it's done. It is essentially failed, or you could say vetoed, I suppose. Scaling bond. So this bond goes up based on the number of proposals, which is P here. So basically, the first bond, the bond for the first proposal, so that means the existing proposals is 0. It's just going to be 500, and that's 500 FRI. And with the assumption that one FRI equals 1 cent, then that would mean that the first proposal takes just $5, or the bond for the first proposal is just $5. We talk a bit more about that in here. When I say I'm assuming that the FRI is worth 1 cent, that's with the assumption that there's a market cap, that the treasury has 1 million DAI in it, and that our 100 million FRI has been fully distributed, and that the price of FRI is exactly the amount of assets it controls. So those are all very rough estimations. They aren't exactly, any of those could be off in different ways, but that's where we came to that assumption. Delegating votes. So this section is, I would say, in some sense, the core of the not experimental. This is sort of the novel piece of what we've built. The previous sections here kind of lead up to it, but this is where the liquid democracy is described. It's described just in its technical mechanics here, and then the next section talks about some sort of implications of that system. So yeah, I don't know. I don't really want to talk too much about this. We talked about that in our last video. I don't think we have too many people here. If there are any questions, I'm happy to go into it. But I think that's already pretty much been covered. Yeah, and then the only other thing in here talks about a buyback proposal and training wheels in the appendix. A buyback proposal is a particular kind of proposal that a FRI voter could propose. People could vote in, and if they do, it's a way of taking something in the treasury and putting it out for auction for FRI holders. So it's just a way to bleed out the funds to the shareholders, essentially. It's kind of a reversal.
Just a quick question, if you don't mind scrolling back a bit. Can you maybe just say how we actually solve the how can I say, deep delegate chain attack?
Right. So whenever you enter into the governance contract and you get your VFRI, a necessary step to that is that you will you'll get a delegation depth. If you're going to vote directly, that'll be 0. And if you're going to delegate your vote to somebody else, you'll get a delegation depth of 1 greater than the agent you're delegating to. So, and that sort of, let's see, that rule there is always enforced. So you could say the delegation graph is guaranteed to be acyclical. And then on top of that, there's a maximum delegation depth. So then whenever you want to traverse up or down the graph, it's always going to end in not only a finite time, but a particular, there's going to be well, as we develop the solidity, we're going to look at the gas costs of this and define the max delegation depth such that you can't get a chain that's too long to process through. Does that answer the question?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Okay. I don't want to go into these bits. Well, except for this. This is interesting. So reactionary dedelegation. If I delegate to Skulk and Skulk delegates to Bob somewhere, and then because we believe that Bob will make good decisions, and then Bob votes on a bad proposal, let's say a proposal to send all the money in the treasury to, I don't know, to some political campaign we don't care for, then we can de-delegate, and we can in a reactionary way. And not only does that, I mean, obviously that would remove our votes from Bob's future decision, but it also removes our votes from the decision he just made in any active proposal. So our voting weight immediately gets taken out of that vote he made. And we also bring along any of the voting weight underneath us. So we have people delegating to us. When we make that move, we bring all of that voting weight with us and take it out of his vote on the proposal that we disagree with. So what that means is you can delegate to somebody and sort of relax a bit and say, well, I don't really need to weigh in because I trust this guy to make decisions for me. And those decisions might be to delegate to somebody else, of course, hence the liquid democracy. But as soon as shit starts going sideways, you can pull your support from them immediately. It's not like in a traditional democracy, for example, you vote for a candidate, you're stuck with them for 4 years, and when they make a bad decision, you can just regret it and be sad, but not much else. Here, you can actually actively make a move away from that decision and pull your support with you. Yeah, so there's that. I won't go into voter apathy and no quorum. I think those are things that anyone interested can read. So now the buyback proposal, it's just a particular proposal that somebody can make. And I don't mean that this is a proposal we'll have baked in. It's just one more option people can do that's worth talking about, because these proposals can be arbitrary. They can be anything the proposer wants, any Ethereum transaction. But one of them can be, let's say the treasury has a million DAI, and let's say that there's no projects that Foundry wants to fund right now. So someone could propose, hey, let's take 10% of that 1 million and let's send it to a buyback contract. And this contract will auction off the DAI in there for Fry. And it works pretty much reversed to the sale we have. So our sale, every 7 hours, it takes in DAI and mints Fry for people. This buyback contract does the opposite. It takes Fry and burns the Fry, and then it returns DAI to the people. So it's just a way of exiting the governance, or sorry, not the governance, but the Fry/Foundry system, directly. Now, I suspect this might never actually be used, because I think that the actual price of Fry will be greater than the amount of assets in it. So you might never even want to use this, but it's important that the option is there, because it's important to point out that the option is there, because that option is fundamentally what links the treasury to the actual valuation of Fry. It's sort of a last resort. Okay, so there's that. And then training wheels, we just talk a little bit about as Foundry is built and becomes more and more complete. We're not going to launch it all at once like the DAO Zaster. We're going to build sort of the core and build outward and make it more and more autonomous, so that it will be live in certain stages that we won't consider complete, or at least we would consider untested. So we would put those out there, and then we'd put some training wheels on them, and that could take a number of forms. One form is that it could be in a multi-sig between the team toast multi-sig and whatever form of governance there is. And then another form would be some entity can veto what the Foundry decides within a 3-day window, for example. That could be Team Toast or something else. Or alternatively, we could launch maybe in the later stages when the governance really seems to be capable but still untested. We could launch it and give it a portion of the treasury as a test, 10% of the treasury, and just wait a month and see how it goes, essentially. And that in some sense would be a much better test, because then an attacker who sees an exploit could come in and perform the exploit, actually get away with it, and then of course we know there's a problem there. So that is, yeah, that's about it. That's the overview of the white paper. Anything you think I should go into more?
Yeah, so just quickly on that, on the wicket of training wheels. So if I understand correctly, like part of what we could do is we could build the governance. We would still be in control of the, of the initially raised treasury. So we could build governance. We could give it a treasury. We could own multiple treasuries. There's no technical limitation to that. And then we give it a treasury, and we actually like boot up the governance and see how it runs with like 10% of funds, 20% of funds, and eventually like full ownership of the accumulating treasury. Correct?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Okay.
I dig that. I dig it. I think we definitely. I think we now have like a complete, coherent picture of our DAO governance that I really like. And I think we can make some good progress on this going forward.
Cool. I'm just making a note. Okay. And I think, Skulk, why don't you put a link to the current GitHub, or the current, this version of the paper. Now, you'll notice this is a draft, non-final, but anyone who is watching this can check it out. In here also is a link. Let me just find it. Should be in provisional design. So this link here, an updated version of the paper can always be found here. This links to the releases. We don't actually have a release yet. So this paper I'm showing and the paper that will be in the video notes is it's just the current version. You can consider it the latest build, but it's not really final or public yet until there's something at this link. But anyway, that'll be in the show notes.
When do you think we'll be ready to publish something?
Within a week. Yeah.
Within a week. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll link to both that link and the actual the one you demoed now.
Yeah. Cool. All right.
Okay.
So that's that. Now the other thing is, let me just. Oh, what is happening? This is not right. I can't find my Chromium browser. All right, I'm just going to open a new window. Okay, so that's one thing. Another thing I wanted to just announce is that we now have a launch date. So, sale starts in just under a week. So basically the same time as we started this demo. Or sorry, just under 3 weeks, I should say. Sorry. So we started this demo at noon UTC. It's going to be the same time on a Friday as well, but just 3 weeks from now. You can come here and click on Get Notified if you want to be reminded of that when it actually happens. And then when this countdown ends, there will be a link to the actual sale. So that's one. And then the only other thing I wanted to go over is, if I can find it real quick. Just looking for the, our expenditure plans, which I can't find here. I thought it was here. Okay, let me just. Hopefully this works. There we go. So this is linked to in the white paper. And it just talks about how we will spend. It just describes the situation, which is, we're going to get funding from the sale, but the governance is not built yet. So there's this period of time between where we start the sale and where governance is ready to actually handle the money. And that's going to be owned by our multi-sig. And so here's what we are going to spend that money on in the interim. So basically, and this is all expressed in terms of 1 year. So a lot of this is aimed at a 1 year runway for us to get everything together. We should have governance built, I think, before a year, but So tier one, almost $300,000. It's a salary for me. That's a half-time salary for Skalk. We're going to get a marketing budget and audit budget for governance. That's sort of our minimum subsistence goal there. So anything up to this amount, this is how it will roughly be spent. The next tier, basically, we get another developer and an administrative worker, because currently it's just me and Skalk doing all the work. And so this will allow us to scale up and just basically make us move faster and also add some marketing. The next tier is just over $1 million. And that is, we're going to start another dev team for Die Hard, and we're also going to get some additional marketing for all of our products. Now, anything over that, if after a year we still haven't built Foundry governance, then we might opt to bill essentially for another year. Also, all this will be billed from the treasury, not all at once, but by week or by month, and it will all be transparent. So there shouldn't be any surprises. Anything above what we use for the purposes described here will just remain in the treasury. We're not really going to touch that. Everything we do touch will be transparently described, so itemized essentially. Anything else in there will just be waiting for governance to take it over when governance is ready, which gets back to the training wheels. We'll be building governance, putting training wheels on it, seeing how it does, and if it seems to be able to ride the bike, I'll hand over the keys. And frankly, we're eager to do that because Foundry is meant to be a decentralized system that provides protection to entrepreneurial interests that are politically dangerous. And for as long as Skalk and I remain too much of a driving force, we represent a weak point. So not only is that a flaw for the project, it also makes us uncomfortable as well. So we really are going to be pushing hard to get to an autonomous governance as soon as we possibly can. And Skalk has already started on the solidity on that. Yeah, that's all I got. Anything else from you, Skalk?
No, I think this all looks good. We're still just figuring out the legal entity stuff. I think I should be able to give proper feedback on that by next week, Friday. And obviously sooner between us directly.
Yeah. Trying to stop sharing.
Cool.
Why can't I find?
Alana, any questions from your side? I think you're muted.
Not really. I just saw a spelling mistake. Logan has left us.
Sorry about that. I was disconnected. Are we still live? Yes, we are. Okay, you're muted, but I heard you through another microphone.
We now basically have two Logans. Okay, no, cool. I said that's cool. We'll see everyone again on Friday next week.
Okay, cool.
Okay,
alrighty.
Cool. Cheers, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Cheers.
Let me disconnect Lippy. Kijk, net gou die stream stop, dan sit ek met jou.